Hello people of the internet and welcome back to Restaurant Productions. So this video is a little different. I've never done this before. This is my first theory about what Avengers Doomsday is going to be. Now the reason I am so confident about this video and the reason I have even thought about making this video or have just started recording this is because I feel very confident. I feel that I actually know what the plot, what actually is going to happen in this movie. Now bear in mind, I do not have any insiders. I do not have any leakers. In fact, I haven't watched or even read through any of these leaks if there are any. But the reason I am making this video is because I was having a look. I was rewatching Avengers 2012 or like a particular scene in that, and something just clicked. I was like, I know what they are going to do in Avengers Doomsday. I know what exactly is going to happen. I know why Doctor Doom actually looks like Iron Man. So, and and let me tell you, I am extremely excited to share this theory because I feel like I've hit the gold mine. I've hit the right spot where it just makes sense. It just makes sense to do that. And I will give you the reason why I think that. I will tell you why that happens and how it happens with facts, with the events that are happening with production and all of these things. Why I think this is the reason and this is the story that they are going to put together with Avengers Doomsday. So now, without any further ado, put on your fedora hats or take your magnifying glasses or whatever, get ready for this theory about Avengers Doomsday, and don't blame me if I spoil the story for you, because even I don't know if this is really the story about, if this is really the story for the movie, but whatever, I'm just super excited to share this theory. So here it is. So I was watching this clip. I was rewatching Avengers 2012, and there is this particular scene where Tony goes into space, where Tesseract has opened this portal from which the Chitauri army, the Chitauri invasion was coming through, and Tony heads in with a nuke to that space or whatever. So now the theory is that the Iron Man that went into space at that time. Okay, so now the reason I'm bringing up Avengers 2012 is because it is a very integral movie for the MCU. It is the first time the Avengers had actually assembled in the MCU with the original six lineup, and it was a hit film. Everybody loved that. In fact, the Avengers traveled back to that time period, to that instance in Avengers Endgame, which was another pivotal point in the MCU. So now the reason I'm bringing this back is because we know who's directing the movies. We know who's also writing the script. So it is Joe and Anthony Russo. They have directed multiple Marvel movies, including Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and Civil War and Captain America Winter Soldier. And the scriptwriter is also the same scriptwriter for Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So now they are going to go back in time again, not with the Avengers, but to show us what actually happened and why there is a Doom that looks like Tony Stark. So the theory is the Iron Man that went into that portal above to carrying the nuke, and he went into the portal. So what actually happened was the portal closed before Iron Man, that same Iron Man, hit the ground. I will just stay with me. So Iron Man, when he went into the portal, okay, the portal closed. The portal closes. Now the Iron Man is stuck in that, let's say, space. But the thing is, he's not stuck there. So now what happens is, let's say the nuke goes off there, which he has put, right, or in the ship or whatever, like it blasts, the nuke just detonates, and there is a surge of Tesseract energy. There is a surge of space stone energy, which also blocks the pathway. Now I think what happened, what they can show us, show this as, as Iron Man was falling down, he just couldn't make it through, but he touched the energy. The energy kind of went through him, and Iron Man is transported into another universe, and that universe is Earth 1610, which is basically the ultimate universe, and which is also a main universe in Secret Wars, which is also main universe in the Incursions. So the main MCU timeline is Earth 616, where all of this happens, and like you have your Spider-Man, your Captain America, Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, all of that. That is the main timeline. And so now Iron Man goes to Earth 1610, which is like the ultimate universe, the ultimate version of the Marvel universe. It is another universe. So now Iron Man goes there. The Iron Man of 2012, who still has the arc reactor in his body, who still has like that old kind of Tony vibe to him. Now this person believes in that set of notions that yes, only he can change the world. I mean, sure, he sacrificed, but it's still not that full complete arc about him sacrificing at the end of Endgame, at defeating Thanos and all of that. So this Iron Man actually gets transported to Earth 1610, and now what happens is he goes to that universe. Now he's severely injured because of course his arc reactor is failing. Of course, I mean, it's just he's just heavily damaged. His suit of armor is literally of no use. But when he lands in Earth 1610, he realizes that there is already a Tony Stark, or the Tony Stark of that universe is dead or alive. That is not the case. Like whatever, there is already a Tony Stark there, or might not be, that whatever. But the point is, this Tony Stark now goes into that universe and he changes his name to Victor Von Doom. I mean, you might ask why he changes that. I cannot give you like a severe explanation with like the story, like why he does it, but I think this is the change where we get to see Tony Stark change into Victor Von Doom, literally. Like what kind of happens is, when Tony Stark goes into Earth 1610, he learns some mystical arts or some dark arts because he has to cure his own, let's say, arc reactor thing, which maybe that universe hasn't maybe figured out, or what, we don't know. But this Tony Stark now has this sort of magical side, has this sort of mystical side to him, which he has to, which he uses to cure himself, but he just couldn't pass through it all, and then his face gets kind of all messed up, all like, you know, like literally like Doom. And somehow, let's say, in between all of these events, he changes his name to Victor Von Doom, and he lives in Latveria at that time, gradually becomes his dictator, or like the sole ruler. So the point is, the Tony Stark of 2012 Avengers that went up there in space actually gets transported to Earth 1610, becomes Doom, actually becomes Doom, Victor Von Doom, but which originally is Tony Stark. So now you might ask, but we saw Tony fell down right there with, and Hulk went to catch him. I'm coming to that point. That is a very major plot point that I will still discuss. So now what happens is, this Tony Stark is actually not a variant. This Tony Stark is actually the Tony Stark we know. So I'll get to it in a minute, like how all of this happens. So this Tony Stark is young. This Tony Stark is not that all, you know, the one that got snapped away, the one that was not there on Earth for like 4-5 years, and which got back now, was pretty old. He had his kid, daughter, like whatever. It comes in future, but this is still the same Tony Stark. Let me explain. So what happens is, he goes into Earth 1610, he learns mystic arts, he learns all of this different cabal magic, all this dark arts, whatever. Then he comes across a new dimension, which is the dark dimension, and he goes in there, maybe to cure himself, maybe to find something, maybe to find his home, maybe to find Earth 616, the main MCU timeline, because he wanted to go there. But he finds himself in the dark dimension, and that is where we connect Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness's end credit scene to it, where Doom is actually in the dark dimension, or is trying to open a portal to dark dimension, but it backfired, and in Earth 1610, the, let's say, the creatures or the beings of dark dimension went there and are making a mess over there. So that is when Clea comes in. I think I don't remember her name, but maybe it is Clea or whatever. But Clea comes in and she asks our Doctor Strange, Earth 616 Doctor Strange, to come and help her about what is happening or like going on with dark dimension. So that is where that is where actually Doctor Strange and this Tony Stark meet, like the Tony Stark that went up there meet at this point. But this Tony Stark now has the Doom armor around it. This Tony Stark doesn't introduce himself as Tony Stark. This Tony Stark introduces himself as Victor Von Doom, and then our Doctor Strange and this Tony Stark or this Doom, they interact with each other. They say or like they speak about something or whatever, and gradually throughout their, let's say, adventures or their escape from the dark dimension, our Doctor Strange realizes this is actually Tony Stark. This is not just any variant of a Tony Stark. This is actually the main Tony Stark of Earth 616. But he's puzzled, like, how has this happened? How can this be? Because he saw Tony die right in front of his eyes. He saw Tony's death in those 14 million possibilities. Now the point is, how did this Tony become Doom? The original Tony of the main MCU timeline. So now what happens is, all these incursions are happening, all these things are happening, which we will get to explore in Fantastic Four First Steps. Now I'm currently reading the Secret War storyline. I'm still on issue number 3 with all the tie-ins. I'm also reading the tie-ins because I just wanted to have a broader perspective of the battle world, about what the things are going on in there. So I was interested in seeing that. So now I particularly do not know why the incursions are happening. I just know they happened and Doom saved all of them. And if you want to keep up with me reading this comic, reading these comics and just reviewing them as I read them, you can see on my shorts or my reels. So basically, all I know till now for Secret Wars is Doom saved everyone from incursion. I do not particularly know why incursions were happening. I do believe that Maker was somewhere in there. He was doing something for incursions to happen, maybe, or it was just Doom. I don't know because I still have to read through it. So my best assumption will be it is the Maker who is doing this, and I think we will be introduced to the Maker in Fantastic Four First Steps, and evil Reed Richards who is causing these incursions, who is causing the collapse of the multiverse. And when Maker and his evil team, let's say, do this, only Doom, or like the original Tony Stark Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange, our original Doctor Strange, maybe Clea, maybe not, I don't know, and just Loki. Only these 3 or 4 people are left outside of the multiverse. I mean, the Loki variant who turned into the God of Stories. Only these 3-4 people are left when all the incursions are happening, all the things are just combining into one thing. And Loki has this, let's say, one final power that he can give it to someone, and Doom uses that to create the battle world. Our Doom uses that to create, our Tony, who has turned into Doom, makes that battle world. And because this is the Tony of the main timeline and Doctor Strange knows that, Doctor Strange is with him and advises him to do something, or maybe lends his power to make this new battle world planet. And that is why this Doctor Strange, our main Doctor Strange, trusts this Doctor Doom, because it is actually Tony Stark. So now what happens is, I think this is the story of Avengers Doomsday. Now Avengers Secret Wars is basically going to be just us exploring the battle world more and more and seeing what the conclusion happens, how actually this Tony Stark became, like, what will be the end game for this Doctor Doom, for this Tony Stark who is actually the main Tony Stark. So I think this will be the story for Avengers Doomsday, where we get to see all of this is happening in Avengers Doomsday. Now I think how will they now the question might be, how will they conclude this story? How will they like tell us what is going on here? So I think it is again related to the original Avengers movie 2012, and that is, we have already seen a deviance of that original timeline in Avengers Endgame, where the Loki, which is now the god of stories, he ran away from that particular moment, causing a new timeline to emerge through it. Now, I don't know if the TVA pruned it or not. Maybe they did. Yeah, mostly they did. Do remember them pruning them. But the point is, now that even in the Yggdrasil, or the, the tree of the multiverse, there are many branches, but even in those branches there is still one timeline where all the things are happening as supposed they were supposedly they were to happen in the original timeline, or the sacred timeline, one might say. So the things that were happening in sacred timeline, there is a single strand, or one particular universe or a timeline where it is happening as it was supposed to in the sacred timeline. So now, when, let's say, this battle world thing is going on, I think in the end what happens is, when Tony comes across all these heroes in the battle world, and let's say they defeat him or whatever. I haven't read the entire comics, but I have to see what happens. But I do know that Franklin Richards does play a big part in, let's say, remaking the entire universe and whatnot. So, and also there is Sue Storm, that is with Doctor Doom, which stays by Doctor Doom in the Secret Wars. I do know that. But so the point is that now there is this original timeline, but however, we are in this sort of, let's say, we are outside the timeline now. Like, there are literally no more things left except the battle world, and in which, let's say, the heroes defeat Doom or whatever happens, and let's say Doom is finally captured. So now the heroes realize that this is the Tony Stark they knew all along, and then Doctor Strange, let's say, devises a plan about the old spell that he pulled up in, Spider-Man No Way Home, that everyone forgets that this is Peter Parker. I think he does that to Tony Stark's memory, that he doesn't remember or know that this actually was him, but him all along. Like, so he just then puts him right back from where he was picked up from the original timeline, that is from the portal. So he puts him below the portal, and then is when we see Hulk actually again catch him, and in this way this whole cycle kind of connects. And the reason I say that this is the same person is because, or like, the reason to support this to be the same person is because the Tony Stark that was prior to this kind of realizes that there should be a suit of armor around the world. There should be like peace around the world, which he can, let's say, offer with, let's say, creation of Ultron. Or he had seen Ultron in his vision somewhere, because he knew something deep down there was like this, which he actually experienced as Doctor Doom in Battle World. But when he is living his life as the original 616 Tony, he kind of, in his subconscious, there is something still there which reminds him of that, and that is why he still pursued making Ultron and had those visions of Thanos all along, because he kind of knew what was coming, and he wanted to make the world a safer place. So, and I literally feel that they will literally just go for a Tony Stark turned Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom, rather than just a separate Victor Von Doom who is the Doctor Doom. Because I think at this point, making characters out of the same people at a level that high is going to be a little challenging. If they do it, no doubt, I'm all happy for it. But I still think this is the story that they are going for. Now, I'm not saying this will be the exact story. If this will be the exact story, I'll be disappointed, because then I just figured it out. But I hope it's not. And this is again just a theory, so take it with a grain of salt. And I really enjoyed making this video. I really enjoyed when I was figuring this out, like how it would happen. I mean, basically, it just clicked to me like this is how they would take, because you see the author, or like the writer of the script writer of the movie Avengers Doomsday kind of said that we have navigated the way, or like maybe it was the Russo brothers, the directors, but some of them said that they actually navigated a way through the story which would be kind of challenging, kind of excited to see what happens. And I do think that it is still somewhere in this particular spectrum of thoughts where they will take the story, because this is what seems plausible enough, seeing MCU before and seeing these directors work with MCU before. So I just I just I just I just love this, man. I and again, I hope they delay the production, because it is literally just too soon. I guess the movie is just too soon. They have to just push it a little back. Please push it a little back. We don't need a rushed movie. Take take another 2 years. I'm fine with more 2 years to wait for another Avengers movie. Don't make it rushed, because the release date is planned for like May next year, which is like too soon, I guess. So yeah, just take your time, make some good, make a good story. Till then, even I will complete reading the Secret War storyline. So yeah, and that is one thing that I hope to do, and that is complete the Secret War storyline. Now, after reading the entire storyline, I will see how much of my, let's say, theory still stands true after even reading all of that. So, or some things might change, or I might just come up with a new theory that seems like the perfect fit for this. So I don't know, it was just fun to make this video. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't know, just I'll see you in the next.